Hi everyone and welcome back to our Year 5-6 video, Volume 7. How very exciting. And we've got a lot to share with you today. We're going to do some shout outs. I'm going to demonstrate one of the things from our PowerPoint. I'm going to do a bit of D&T and then we're going to read the next chapter of our book. So I hope you enjoy. First up, I'm going to do a little bit of D&T with you because I thought that might be a little bit tricky and might be one that you aren't quite sure how to do at home. So I have done one at my home to show you how it is quite tricky, but it can be done with whatever you've got lying around the house. So I hope you enjoy. Here we go. So first of all, I want to show you what I had in my house. So I found some cardboard, I found the roll from inside a kitchen roll, an old box from an Easter egg, some scissors, the lid from a milk bottle, some felt tips, some crayons, and some card. So that's what I'm going to use in my board game. Now I can't promise that I'm going to use it all, but this is what I got to begin with to inspire me with my board game. When I was in school on Wednesday, we did this activity to get our juices flowing and actually inspired me because I knew I was going to do one afterwards. So I thought I'd show you a couple of pictures and a clip of what some of the children came up with while we were in school, and then we'll move on to my little project. So hopefully you can see that the children are using similar things that you would hopefully have at home. Some scissors, some paper, pencils, maybe some felt tips, a ruler, and then they just started planning out their project. And this one here is absolutely lovely because someone has spent time making a rainbow, almost like a snakes and ladders type game, and they then would move around the board across the rainbows, which is lovely. Okay, so here we go with my project. I was looking at all of the equipment that I had and making decisions, and it was the kitchen roll that inspired me first. I used the cardboard from a delivery that I'd had as the base of my board, and I just dismantled it so that I could use that as my board game. Voila. Then I found a pen and a ruler and I started to outline where I would like my board game to be. You're about to see my pen run out, and then I disappear and hopefully find a pen that actually works for this project. I return with the pen and I finish off outlining the board. So I am making a space in the centre, which you will see what that's for in a little bit. And then I've got an area on the outside, almost like a Monopoly board, that I will make squares for in a second. Then I move on to my kitchen roll, and I want to cut that into 3 sections. So initially, I start drawing on it, and then I realise I should use a ruler. So I start to measure out how big I want each of my pieces to be. I make a little mistake, and then I change my mind, and finally, I decide I want them to be in 3 different sizes, one small, one medium, one large, and then I cut them out like this. I'll then give them a little cut along the line that I drew for myself, and I have my 3 pieces in 3 different sizes, and you'll see what this is for in a second. Voila! So I am now going to make it so these will stick on my board. So I need to cut around the bottom edge about 1 inch and make little incisions all the way around. And then I'm going to fan out these little cuts, and so then I'll be able to glue it down onto my board. So there we go, cut all the way around, and then I just fan them out with my hand like this, and then I can stick that down a little bit later on. And then I'm going to do that with all 3. Magic! Then I thought I'd decorate them. So I got my card, although I could have used felt tips or crayons, I wanted to use the card, and I'm just going to wrap the card around the holders using scissors and using glue. So I measured how much I would need. You could have done this with a ruler as well, but I just did it like this. Then I made a little incision, and then I also, with a pen, made a mark how high up on the card I needed to go. You can now see a little cameo from my sister in the background, who didn't realise I was recording and decided to walk through to go and get herself a pair of shoes. Okay, I'm cutting out this card, then I'm going to glue it down over my kitchen roll holder so that it looks a little bit more pretty and impressive. There's another little cameo from my sister and one of the dogs, and voila, there is one done. And with a snap of my fingers, all 3 are done, voila, in 3 different colours. So then what I wanted to do was I wanted to outline the rest of my board. So I just went around with my pen and made different spaces, and I'm going to put cards on there, or I might put numbers on there, because I imagine in my game, my players are going to move around the board as they would in a game of Monopoly. So I am kind of trying to make them evenly spaced and work my way around the board like this. Luckily this time the pen did not run out, so that is very good for me. And there is my completed board. So now I wanted to make a starting position, so I got my card again and I measured it by eye and wrote start on that piece of card, so that's where my players will start the game, and then I just glue that down. And then I went on to make different game cards, so miss a go or take a throw or go back a space, and I made a series of those and then stuck those around the edge of the board as well. So then with my kitchen roll holders, I wrote 3, 2 and 1 on, because that is how many spaces you were able to move if you manage to throw something into these holders. And then they needed sticking down on the board. So I got my glue and I positioned 1 quite close to me, 1 a little bit further away, and the higher one quite far away, because that will be harder to aim with. So my aim of the game is to try and make it a little bit challenging for the players. So as you can see, I'm gluing this down. This was quite a tricky part because it didn't want to stay stuck down. So if you do this, you might need to hold them for about a minute. Then all of them were stuck down, voila. And I moved on to thinking about my rules. So my rules, I need to think about how many players, what equipment I'll need, and how I would play the game. And then I had a little go at playing the game. I got myself a 10p and a 20p. I took a little step back and then I was trying to throw the coin into the holders. And I succeeded second time, although not the third time. Is my players would take it in turns to roll a dice and move around the board. And then when they land on something like take a throw, they would try and throw a 10p or a 2p into one of the holders. And if they got it in the holder, they would be able to move forward a few more spaces, which would be exciting. And then if they landed on a go back a space, they would have to go back a space. If they missed going in the holder, they would also need to go back a space. So I thought it would be quite an exciting interactive game. And that took me about 2 hours to make. So hopefully that's inspired you to make one for yourself and showed you how you need to persevere if you want to make yourself a board game. And actually I'm quite excited to have a go at that with my husband and with my sister. They'll want to play along with me as well and not just think that my game is boring. I think an extra challenge for you would be to write yourself some instructions about how to play your game and then hopefully play it along with your family and see if they enjoy it too. So hopefully you found that useful. Now let's move on to shout-outs. Yay! So we've done things a little bit differently this week. What we've done is I have got a shout-out list at the very end so that anyone that sent any work in, your name will appear on a Star Wars type thing. But we've also made a compilation of work that we've received for this week, and what we wanted you to do is play Can You Spot My Work? So somewhere in there, if you've sent in work this week, will be a piece of work that you've sent in. Now, I can't promise there'll be more than one. There'll probably be 1 or 2 pieces of your work somewhere in there, but we have kept it anonymous, so we've not put any names on. So hopefully you will be able to spot some of the work that you sent into your teachers this week and be really proud of yourself and hopefully be able to share that with your family at home. So first up, we have Year 5. Amazing. So next we have Year 6 and the work from Pear and Willow class. Here you go. Now it's time for all the shout outs, so look out for your name. Here we go. You spotted your work and you also spotted your name in our Star Wars list, and we're really looking forward to seeing what you come up with this week so that we can showcase your work next week. And I'm hoping to see some board games appear on our class dojo, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you manage to upload. Remember, there are helpful videos on Dojo that will show you how to put your work into portfolio, and I also hope that you've noticed in our lovely showcase of work that a lot of the children have chosen to present their work in a way that they chose to. So you don't actually need to print off any of the worksheets or print off any of the PowerPoints. You can just look at them, hopefully on a phone or a tablet or a laptop or some other device, and then just write them down in the workbook that we sent home or on paper or however you want. And actually we really enjoy you presenting your work for yourself. So yeah, we really want you to have a go at doing that, and you don't need to feel any stress or pressure to print any of the work out. We try and make our PowerPoints so that you don't have to do that. So hopefully you found that useful and gained some kind of top tips from seeing your friends' work, which is really nice. So finally, let's read the next chapter of our story, The House with Chicken Legs, because I'm really excited to see what happens next. Here we go. The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. Chapter 7, Nina. Her name is Nina, and 5 minutes into our conversation, I don't want her to leave either. She's smaller than me, but we're both 12. Her hair was straight and black, mine curly and red, but we both have a small gap between our front teeth. We watch the shooting stars and tell each other stories we've heard about them, although I don't tell Nina the stories about them being dead souls. I don't talk about death, or why Nina is here at all. Nina has heard that shooting stars are celestial goats dragging their hooves when they run across the sky. Most of Nina's stories involve animals. We talk for hours, joining up stars into pictures, remembering tales of constellations named after tortoises and giraffes, scorpions and snakes. But finally, the stars fade away and the sky blushes pink. Nina rises and takes a few steps away from the porch. Wait! Where are you going? I reach for her arm, but of course my hand passes right through it. She stops anyway and stares out at the endless sand, eyebrows crinkled. I'm not sure, she whispers. I don't know where I am. There's nothing out there. I wave my hand at the desert. Stay here with me. My mind is thrumming with ideas. How she can hide in my bedroom at night when the gate is open, and then we can spend time together in the day, talking, playing games, and when the house moves on, we can explore new landscapes together. I need to... Come and see my lamb, I say quickly. You have a lamb? He's an orphan. I'm hand-rearing him. I pick up the basket of dishes I dropped earlier and beckon Nina around to Benji's shelter at the back of the porch. I moved him there while I was cleaning my room yesterday, and he fell asleep snuggled up in one of my old shawls. He wakes up when he hears us and squeezes his head through the gap near the water butt, eager to be stroked and have some milk. He's so cute, Nina smiles as she tickles Benji under the chin, and he tries to lick her fingers. We used to have a camel, but my father sold him a few years ago. We moved to a new white house on the edge of the desert. Nina's smile widens as memories of her life flood back. There was a well, and my father dug little channels to send the water over the ground. He planted figs, jojaba, tiny orange trees, and magaria. He then planted oleanders because my mother loved the flowers so much. Her face darkens with sorrow. My mother. She got ill first, then my sisters, then me. Her eyes narrow as she tries to remember. Why am I here? I drape my shawl around her, like I've seen Baba do to the dead when they don't want to pass through the gate. It's strange how my shawl can comfort her, but I can't touch her with my hands. Baba says it's something to do with the house. It gives the dead energy for their journey, so they seem almost real. They end up being lifelike in some ways, but not in others, and it varies from soul to soul, and even from moment to moment, like how, during the guidings, the dead can eat and drink even though their bodies aren't really here, but then they float weightlessly to the stars. I finish washing the dishes and stack them in the basket to dry. Would you like some kasha? I ask. Porridge, I correct, when Nina looks at me with confusion. Footsteps echo through the house. Baba is awake, humming a happy tune. Shh! My finger rushes to my lips as the rest of my body freezes. Stay here with Benji. I'll bring some out for you, I whisper. The door creaks so loudly, I wonder if the house knows that Nina is here and is trying to give me away. I push it open, my hands hot with annoyance. Every time I have the chance at friendship, the house tries to ruin it. You're up early. Baba kisses my cheek. I was checking on the lamb. I look away, hoping she doesn't notice the blood rushing to my face. Can I eat my breakfast with him outside? It's such a lovely morning. Of course, Baba smiles. It's nice to see that you've cheered up a bit since yesterday. I nod guiltily and set out making a bottle for Benji and kasha for me and Nina. I stir up a huge pan of porridge, grate some chocolate on the top, and sneak an extra spoon in my pocket. Nina and I eat with Benji on the back porch. I'm so glad I built him a shelter in one of the house's deaf spots. If the house does know that Nina is here, at least it can't hear us talking. Jack joins us, and as he sucks the kasha off my fingers, like he used to when he was a chick, I tell Nina how I found and raised him. Do you have any brothers or sisters? She asks. No, I shake my head. I just live here with my grandmother. My parents died when I was a baby. I have 5 sisters, Nina groans. There's never any peace and quiet. I'd like that. It's far too quiet around here. I bite my lip as I hear Baba still humming inside the house. Nina stares into the distance, and she seems to fade slightly. I don't know how to get home to my sisters. Our house moves, I jump up brightly. Perhaps it can take you home. Really? Nina's eyebrows crinkle. Maybe. I turn to Jack, flushing with the lie. I don't think we'll stay here long, a week or 2 at most. Then the house will take us somewhere new. The jungle, or the mountains, or the seaside. You've seen the ocean? Her eyes light up. Of course. What's it like? She leans forward eagerly. It's like the desert in some ways. Endless water instead of endless sand. The waves move like the dunes, only faster. Salty spray stings your face like the sand in the wind. But it must be so different too. Oh yes, it's cool and fresh and... Wet? Nina suggests. Yes, very wet. I laugh. Can you make your house go there next? I'd love to see the ocean. I wish I could. Maybe Nina would forget about wanting to go home if I showed her the ocean. The house decides where it goes, I admit reluctantly, but it often goes to the coast. I rush as my face falls. Not long ago, it settled on a tiny island. The ocean was all around, as far as you could see. It changed colour 100 times a day, depending on the sky and the light. Waves washed onto the shore, knocking pebbles up and down the beach. The dead. I stopped myself. The dead. I was going to say how the dead walked right across the surface of the ocean, but I think of another memory to cover my tracks. Lots of dead jellyfish washed up there one day, all transparent and squidgy. Jack ate one and got sick. Jack ruffles his feathers and turns away. Silly bird, Nina laughs. He's lovely. You're so lucky to have a pet. He's not really a pet. I can take care of him, but he can also take care of himself. When he learned to fly, I thought he was going to go away, but he always comes back. I'm glad he does. Do you think he'll stay with you forever now? She asked. I hope so. I look at Jack and a lump forms in my throat. Nothing's forever. Everything moves on. The living, the dead, the house. I push the thought to the back of my mind and stand up. Would you like to check the fence with me? Nina nods and I lead her to the far corner, out of the sight of the house and its windows. I scan the perimeter and check none of the bones have fallen. I tell Nina the fence is a tradition, like I told Benjamin. She looks at the skulls and shivers. None of our customs are as strange as this. For a moment I see the fence and the house through Nina's eyes. Empty skulls balanced on bleached bones, warped wooden walls leading to the twisted roof and the crooked chimney. The balustrade round the porch bends up and down at odd angles, and dry sand has been kicked into the untidy piles where the house's legs have buried themselves. I think about Nina's description of her house, clean and white and surrounded by the colours and scents of beautiful flowers. I see how my house must seem so strange to her, frightening even. I turn my back to the house and clamber over the fence. Come on, I beckon to Nina. Let's go for a walk. As my feet hit the ground on the other side of the fence, a rush of excitement runs through me. Right now, I don't care about disobeying Baba. I don't even think I care about the fact that I might get caught. All I can think about is the joy of escaping, even if it will only be for a little while. I kick off my shoes and let the sand flow between my toes as we walk away from the house. A huge golden sun sits low on the horizon, warming the still air. Nina stops and crouches next to a small circular pit, no bigger than my palm. It's an antlion trap, she says. She points to the centre. Buried in there is an antlion, an insect with huge spiky jaws. It waits, hiding at the bottom for an ant to come along. And then the ant falls into the pit. I wonder why the ant wouldn't just walk around. It slips down the steep sides and the antlion throws the sand on it. The ant struggles to escape, but it can't. Nina lowers her voice dramatically and her fingers mime the struggle of the ant. It slides further, pulled down by the sand, and eventually it reaches the antlion's jaws. Nina claps her hands shut and laughs. Do you want to watch it for a while? See if an ant comes along? We sit on the sand, staring at the trap. If an ant comes, shall we save it? You know, at the last minute, I ask. That's what my sister used to do, Nina smiles. You can if you want, but the antlion won't get its meal. You know, the antlion is really a larva. If it eats enough, it will change into a beautiful dragonfly with speckled wings and eyes that glow silver as it flies in the dusk. I'm not sure what to do now. I don't want to stop the antlion from becoming a beautiful dragonfly, but I don't want to watch an ant die either. I'm relieved when no ants come along. The sun climbs higher in the sky, and waves of heat shimmer on the horizon. It's too hot for ants now. They would fry on this sand before they even got to the antlion trap. My heart sinks as I realise I'm going to have to go back to the house for some shade. I sneak Nina into my bedroom while the house is asleep and Baba is napping in front of the empty fireplace, with her balalinka cradled in her arms. A cool draught flows into the room as the chimney breast rises and falls, gently breathing in the air. The house might be cold and odd and strange, but at least it takes care of Baba. I shut my door softly, so I don't wake either of them. The window is open, heat flooding in. Jack sits on the sill, looking out across the desert, eyes half closed and wings slightly raised in the hope of catching a breeze. Nina and I sit on the floor below him, and I show her how to play checkers, and she teaches me a game where we have to guess what each other is thinking. I'm not very good at it, and I doze off in the heat while trying to think of an orange flower that she has in her mind. When I wake up, the air is soft and cool. Nina is staring out of the window. The school candles are already lit, throwing yellow light and dark shadows across the empty sand. I hear Baba singing and preparing the food for the dead. A weight falls across my chest, and I struggle to breathe. Nina shouldn't have to go through the gate if she doesn't want to, and I shouldn't have to lose another friend. The house is trying to control both of our lives. It's not fair. I draw my curtains and block Nina's view from the beckoning skulls. Give her a book to read. I promise not to leave my room under any circumstances. But as I go to help Baba prepare for the guiding, I can't shake the image from my mind of the gate opening and pulling Nina inside, like an ant being pulled into the Antlion trap. The thought of losing her makes my blood run cold, and I don't know how to stop it from happening, just like I don't know how to control my own destiny. And that is the end of chapter 7. And finally, from myself and all of the Year 5-6 team, we hope that you're staying safe, we hope you've enjoyed our video, and we look forward to talking to you next week. And remember, if you need anything, just contact us on Class Dojo or use our email addresses from the school website, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. See you soon.